Food of Fergus Falls. It's Morning Talk on News Talk 1250 KBRF, brought to you by Pioneer Care and Fergus Falls Monument Company. Now, here's Mary Dolan Bishop.
Good Wednesday morning. It is 11 after 9. Hoping everybody's having a great start to your day. And I know one of the things going on here in Fergus Falls at the Bigwood Event Center until 11 o'clock is, or actually until noon, is Celebrate Aging. So we've got that going on right now. So head on over.
Okay, that sounds great. And there's lots of different booths where you can find out more information, and I'm sure there's some swag for you to pick up around the area, and just a lot of good information.
A lot of things happening. Again, it's at the Bigwood Event Center, presented by Pioneer Care, whether you're in attendance or just showcasing your services. It is a fun event. At Celebrate Aging, attendees can expect a wide range of resources, including information, activities tailored to older adults and their caregivers. There's going to be exhibitor booths, health screenings, educational seminars, fitness and wellness activities, community resources, product demonstrations and samples, along with entertainment and the social activities and opportunities for networking. So it is going to be an absolute blast. Overall, Celebrate Aging offers a comprehensive and interactive experience designed to empower older adults to lead healthier, active, and fulfilling lives. So again, Bigwood Event Center, brought to you by Pioneer Care, going on until noon today. So it's only a $1 donation to get in. So head on over there.
All right, sounds great. You have until noon. Lots of good information. Sounds like a lot of fun kinds of get active kinds of booths too. So just a lot of good information could get you get you interested in a different something to do in terms of fitness, or maybe you just need some information on resources in our area for you if you are an aging person, or if you are a caregiver of an aging person. It's always nice to know what those resources are. So lots of good information and cost you $1 to walk around and get all that good info. So until noon today at Bigwood. Looking forward to that. Well, it is an absolutely beautiful day out there, at least for right now. What is it with as we near the weekend? We always are looking for weather-related stuff.
Yeah, more storms once again.
Yeah, and it sounds like we could see some of those move in overnight tonight, and tomorrow afternoon, and overnight tomorrow. And I know there is Shop, Move, and Groove downtown Fergus Falls tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have Lisa Workman in a little after 10:30 this morning.
And just got an email from the Chamber of Commerce that they are being weather-wise, and they're watching the weather because there is the possibility of some weather moving in tomorrow afternoon. And I took a look at the radar going forward, and I think it's going to be okay till evening, but I realize this does go into the evening. Anyway, as of now, everything on as planned, and they'll make the call tomorrow at noon. So, but I think for right now, I think everything's going to go forward, and we're just going to hope that the weather goes around us, and that all the fun of Shop, Move, and Groove can go on as planned.
It is always a good time. Hey, I got a couple of quick news stories to bring up. Ottertail County Sheriff's Office is advising of a scam that's going on. Somebody's calling asking for HIPAA notification information, so they're looking for Social Security numbers, birth dates. So again, that is a scam. They're pretending to be Sergeant McCash with the Ottertail County Sheriff's Department. So
like the sheriff would want your Social Security number.
So again, please remember that is a scam. And also, the 3 finalists have been named for the Fergus Falls Police Chief. Kyle Bergen has announced his retirement, and so they've got several candidates. There's going to be a meet and greet at the Fergus Falls Public Library from 5:30 to 6:30 next Tuesday, and it's an interesting bunch of candidates. They've got one of them is the current chief of police from Pelican Rapids, who's also been the chief of police in Battle Lake and in Malacca. There's one from Bettendorf, Iowa, who is a captain at the Bettendorf, Iowa Police Department, and then there's one from Morris, who is the captain of the Minnesota Morris Police Department.
Okay.
And so he's been down in Morris his career. So all of them look very, very talented. And so we'll meet them next Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:30 at the Fergus Falls Public Library.
Okay, well, that sounds good. And so will that be a November election?
Police chief is not elected.
Oh, that's not elected.
Sheriff
Okay.
is elected.
Sheriff, that's what I'm thinking.
Sheriff is elected.
Okay,
Police chief is
not. That
appointed
is
and then
appointed
voted on
job.
by the city council.
Okay, all right. That sounds good, and it would be good to meet them and
Yeah.
find out more. And I'm sure you'll have an opportunity to maybe ask some questions if
Yeah.
you'd like. So that's great. Okay, well, the Supreme Court granted President Trump temporary permission to proceed with his plans to implement reductions in force and reorganize federal agencies. The court issued an administrative stay in response to a ruling by a U.S. district who emphasized limits on wholesale reorganizations without Congress's involvement. But for now, the Supreme Court has granted President Trump temporary permission to proceed with that plan. You know, how would you like to, if you went to work every day and you made a decision at work to go forward with, some kind of plan that you had been working on, and every time you tried to implement a new plan, everybody came up around you, and then you got sued, and then
Yep.
you had to have judges come, and I mean, every single thing he tries to do, we got to bring in the Supreme Court.
I'm not sure if he can use the restroom without Supreme Court
isn't that the
authorization and
truth?
Congress saying, you can't do that without our authorization.
Right, exactly. The U.S. will send additional defensive weaponry to Ukraine to enhance its defense capabilities against Russia and work toward achieving lasting peace. Those two words in this conflict just seem so
Yeah.
impossible. Vladimir Putin just does not want to see this come to an end. The decision comes after Pete Hegseth temporarily stopped weapons deliveries due to concerns over the U.S. military stockpile. Trump emphasized the importance of Ukraine being able to defend itself, and they just dropped another drone. I think it was last night, another attack.
Yep.
Russia on Ukraine. And so I know that this is something that's been kind of waiting in the wings. Should we give them, more capability? Should we send them, some of the things, weaponry and defensive weaponry that they've been asking for? And looks like the answer is yes, they're going to do that. Rescue efforts continue in Central Texas as over 100 people remain missing. I heard a number of 160 or 161 still unaccounted for. And the thing is, they don't know. I mean, it was a holiday weekend, so they don't know all the people that were camping and tenting and
people who weren't there. So
Right.
And you don't know how many people were there that would normally not be there.
Right, exactly. And so they don't really know what that missing number is, which is really difficult. The death toll has reached at least 109 confirmed fatalities. Texas Governor Greg Abbott declared a federal disaster, enabling FEMA to assist local rescue operations. Kerr County, the hardest hit area, reported 94 deaths, including 27 at Camp Mystic, which is that is just heartbreaking. I can hardly stand to read those stories. An unknown individual or group, this is so scary, and we've talked about the bad actors using AI.
Mm-hmm.
An unknown individual or group used AI to impersonate Secretary of State Marco Rubio and contacted at least 5 high-level government officials in mid-June. The AI did. The culprit was apparently hoping to gain access to sensitive information or accounts. The fake Rubio reached out to 3 foreign ministers, a U.S. governor, and a member of Congress. Now, there's nothing in this story that says how they figured out that it was AI, and I suppose Marco Rubio is the guy who says, nope, I didn't do that, I didn't say that. But that's frightening.
It is.
Think of what could happen if people on the other, and why don't they believe it? Here's why I don't believe anything I read or hear or see anymore.
Mm-hmm.
AI is to blame for that.
AI is, how advanced it is, I can't believe it. It really, really is.
Well, when the guy who, kind of was the founder, the guy who came up with AI is saying, whoa, put the top back on the box, which of course at this point is absolutely impossible. He's even saying, tap the brakes, this got way out of hand.
It's like Pandora.
It is Pandora's box for sure. The IRS announced that it will no longer penalize churches for endorsing political candidates, disregarding a tax code provision that could strip their tax-exempt status. The provision, which was established by Congress over 50 years ago, prohibits political campaign activities by charities and churches. The decision, of course, is pending final approval. And if you are one of those people who, when you travel and you go through security and all of a sudden you look down and think, oh gosh, I've got these lace-up boots on, or I'm barefoot in my flip-flops. In either case, you have to take your shoes off to go through security. That has come to an end. Don't have to do that anymore. And they are saying it's going to happen immediately.
That's nice.
Yeah, first of all, they were saying, it's going to be months down the road. But the TSA is set to allow passengers this says certain airports, to keep their shoes on during security screenings. And I heard a story this morning on my way in that Kristi Noem announced that it is immediate and it is across the board at all United States airports. So anyway, the TSA has not made their formal announcement. They may have by now. Sometimes when we read this information, it's printing, things happen after it's printed. And I believe that has happened. The requirement for shoe removal at airports was introduced in 2006. Remember that?
Richard Reed.
Yep, Richard Reed, following the shoe bomber. The TSA mentioned in a recent press release that they are exploring new ways to improve the passenger experience and security measures. And Kristi Noem made sure to say, we have several levels of security, and the shoe thing is just not a necessity anymore.
Yeah.
And that will make some difference. I mean,
Yeah.
that will speed things up just a little bit, because everyone gets through security and then they stand in those lines with the tubs.
Yep.
And they hold everybody else up by standing there and putting their shoes on. And I always hate stepping. I just don't like to be stocking foot, or certainly not barefoot, on the airport floor.
Well, I always make sure I've got socks on.
Well, I don't always think of it when I go through, and often when we're traveling warm places, I'm coming back in flip-flops, or maybe even going there in flip-flops. Anyway, you are not going to need, and it sounds like it is immediate, so the next time you fly, you get to keep those shoes on. I think
Keep those shoes on.
Yeah, and Richard Reed, he was the guy who caused all this in the first place, and since 2006,
Yep.
we've been taking our shoes off at area airports.
For those who don't remember, he had explosives in his shoe, and he was trying to use a match to light it. And everybody's like, what's that sulfur
guy-
smell? And
yeah.
all of a sudden, they look down, and he's trying to light a fuse on his shoe, and he did not look pretty when they took him off the airplane. Let's put it this way, the surrounding passengers let them know their feelings.
Yes, absolutely. And so ever since then, because
Yep.
of the guy who was dubbed the shoe bomber, we had to take our shoes off in airports. You know what I've noticed lately, the last few times I've flown, security measures at the airport have changed. The last 2 or 3 times I've flown, you didn't have to take off your shoes. You got to keep them on already. So I think it all depended where you were flying into or out of.
Oh, I had to take my shoes off.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. We didn't in Fargo. We didn't in I guess once.
I did in Minneapolis, and I was even on the clear list, that clear thing. And then same in Orlando. We had to take our shoes off.
Like TSA pre-check, you mean?
No, not TSA pre-check. There's a
just
separate thing called clear.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You pay for it, but they
Oh.
gave us a 2-week free trial, which we're like, hey, not a problem. We
Yeah.
can fly to, and it's supposed to be faster. However, the regular line was moving faster than the clear line, which
I
is supposed to be the
would agree,
quote-unquote
well, because
short line.
everybody is getting the clear status.
Yeah.
Or even TSA pre-check. That's not really even faster anymore because everybody's doing that too.
Yeah.
And one of the things, TSA pre-check, it let you not take your shoes off. Well, now nobody has to take their shoes
Yeah.
off. So, but TSA pre-check is pretty cheap. I think it's $75 and it lasts like 5 years or something like that. It's cheap.
All these guys wanted to charge $150 a year.
Clear is, really different,
Yeah.
evidently. Yeah.
And apparently there's like 2 levels of clear. So we were in like the standard clear, but there was like an advanced clear, and there were so many people with the advanced clear that everybody in the standard clear just kind of stayed there watching all the regular people go
Yeah.
through. And it's like, this was a waste of time and money.
Right, exactly. But I noticed the other thing was we had dogs
Yep.
more often, so that when you're going through the security line, you just 2 by 2, 2 passengers at a time,
Yep.
just walk down the hall, and the dog just kind of circles around you.
I've
and-
only encountered that once, and that was in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. We've had it a couple. In fact, the last couple of flights I've taken, we've had that.
Did they have the fans going too?
Yep, and it goes so fast.
Yep.
Those dogs just, I mean, they could sniff you out if you had anything going on, and it went really, really fast. So I think they're really working on making it safe, but
Yep.
making it kind of a little more seamless in terms of getting through. And when we came back from Florida, we missed a flight, which made us have to stay in Minneapolis. So then in the morning we had to go through security in Minneapolis. And that's why I don't fly out of there, because I hate security in Minneapolis. But it was so much easier this time.
I haven't had any issues with security in Minneapolis. The security in Miami is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
it is
probably
stupid.
Yeah,
And then Orlando is not the greatest either.
yeah. Well, anyway, nobody loves to go through security. It makes me, I don't know. That's part of the anxious part about about flying, and not like I've got anything to hide, but I don't know. You're always afraid they're going to find something, and then you hold up the line, and
yeah. I get, my bag always gets flagged every time.
Does it?
Yep, every time.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, let's see what else we have. Living in a healthy state could add 8 years to your life.
Nice.
So, yeah, we'll be telling you where you need to live to add those 8 years when we come back on Morning Talk.
We're also going to check in with Miles Riker over at Celebrate Aging at the Big Wood Event Center. Again, that's going on today, presented by Pioneer Care until noon. So head on over. It's going to be a fun time.
All right.
Back with more Morning Talk with Mary Dolan and Dave Bishop. Brought to you by Pioneer Care and Fergus Falls Monument Company. After the markets on News Talk 1250 KBRF. Depend on it.
If you're building a new house or shop this summer, Easy Open Garage Door in Fergus Falls is here to help you pick the right garage door for your new build. Call today for a free estimate. Commercial or residential, make it easy. With Easy Open Garage Doors, call 218-770-DOOR.
Keeping you company out on the lakes. The Minnesota Twins and News Talk 1250 AM KBRF.
Hey, Twins fans, it's Chris Atterbury. Whole lot of fun at Target Field on Tuesday night. Looking to do it again tonight. Join me alongside Dan Gladden as David Festa takes the ball for the Twins opposite young Cubs right-hander Cade Horton. Twins looking to win a series from the first-place Cubs. We'll see if they can get it done this evening. 6 o'clock lineup card. 6:40 first pitch. It's all right here on the home for Twins baseball.
News Talk 1250 AM KBRF. Depend on it.
Summer flies by, doesn't it? Between family outings, kids' activities, and soaking up every bit of sunshine, we're all on the go. But in the middle of the rush, don't forget to check in with yourself. Lakeland Mental Health Center reminds you your mental well-being matters too. If you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or down, reach out. Make the call to LMHC. Visit lmhc.org and connect with support that fits your needs. With services available in Alexandria, Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls, Glenwood, and Moorhead, LMHC is here to help today for a better tomorrow.
Get the latest in ag information and market updates with the Red River Farm Network. Monday through Friday. News Talk 1250 AM KBRF. Depend on it.
Good Good morning. Market update time here on the Red River Farm Network. I'm Tyler Donaldson. Grains markets picking up where they left off yesterday with wheat markets anywhere from a penny to 4 cents lower. Corn around a penny lower as well. Soybeans 5 to 7 lower to start the day's trade. Global Commodity Analytics and Consulting President Mike Zuzolo says grains markets really just need a reset after a tough start to the week.
I think the best chance for a reset and what we've had to go through since before the July 4th holiday and the contrast since the July 4th holiday, the best chance for a reset and the market to take a pause and reflect on what it's done as far as the price action here this week is the WASDE report on Friday. I think we might be trading a little bit of that today in the form of some short covering in the corn market. The spreads are a little bit more firm. We have overdone in terms of price action and major support levels being taken out, overdone it in the corn in relation to the soybeans when it comes to those end of June, early July lows that we formed before the holiday.
Cattle markets continuing to press higher. Zuzolo watching big beef export markets like Japan and Korea to see how they'll react to the latest rounds of tariffs.
We talked about Japan and South Korea and how they're 20% and 5% respectively of the U.S. corn export market. So they make up a quarter of our corn export market, but Japan and South Korea are also number 1 and number 2 on U.S. beef exports.
Reporting agriculture's business, you're listening to the Red River Farm Network.
It's time for the Minnesota Beef Update with Ella DeFrang, Minnesota Beef Summer Intern. Minnesota Beef is looking for volunteers for the Minnesota State Fair.
Yes, as we get ready for the State Fair, we're looking for volunteers who are passionate about agriculture and eager to share the story of beef. The goal of our booth is to connect with consumers, answer questions, and build trust in how beef is raised here in Minnesota. There's a lot of curiosity out there and sometimes misinformation, so having people who care about ag telling people how the story goes makes a big difference. If you enjoy talking with others and want to help represent the beef community, we'd love to have you. We'll cover your admission, give you a free t-shirt, and a malt ticket. If you're interested or want to learn more, you can reach me at intern@minnesotabeef.org or get in touch with us through the Beef Council.
The Beef Update brought to you by the Minnesota Beef Council and Minnesota State Cattlemen's Association.
Listen to the Dry Bean Scene every Friday here on the Red River Farm Network, brought to you by the North Harvest Bean Growers Association, Johnstown Bean Company, Gowan Company, SRS Commodities, and Heads Up Plant Protectants. We'll track this year's crop potential across the country and get industry perspectives on possible market impacts. It's the Dry Bean Scene every Friday, 12:35, right here on the Red River Farm Network.
Farmers and ranchers depend on farm radio. In fact, the average farm has 11 radios. Over half of our farm listeners have 20 or more radios on the farm. The Red River Farm Network is your go-to source for farm news, markets, and weather. Dedicated, determined, dependable. Don Wick, Jamie Tickerman, Tyler Donaldson, Drew Lerner on the Red River Farm Network. We're the Red River Farm Network, and we're reporting agriculture's business.
September wheat Minneapolis down a penny and a half to 6.28 1/4. Chicago September wheat down 2.5 to 5.45 1/4. Kansas City September hard red winter wheat is down 3 cents to 5.19 1/2. September corn just around half a penny lower, 3.97 1/4. September soybeans down 7 cents to 10.01 1/2. November canola is down $10.50 per metric ton to 693.50 Canadian. August live cattle's at 220, just 2 pennies higher. August feeders up 52 cents to 319.65, now 75. July hogs up 2 cents, 107 even. This is the Red River Farm Network.
Minnesota Motor Company in Fergus Falls has the perfect Buick vehicle just waiting to take you on your next summer road trip. From the full-size Buick Enclave to the sporty Buick Envista, they have the perfect Buick for you. Minnesota Motor has made price reductions to many of the Buicks on the lot. So now is the time to contact their sales team and get you into a new Buick. Buick, exceptional by design.
Minnesota Motor.
South Pebble Lake Road, Fergus Falls.
Hey Fergus Falls, it's Lisa Workman with the Chamber inviting you to Shop, Move, and Groove Thursday, July 10th. Beast Riverfront Park will be grooving from 4 to 8 p.m. with live music from Blind Joe, a contestant on The Voice. Plus, free kids games, an outdoor trade show, plus food trucks and craft beer for the big kids. See you at Shop, Move, and Groove Thursday, July 10th. Sponsored by the Fergus Falls Chamber and Vector Windows.
Shop, move, and groove your way to big savings at Nature's Garden World. 25% off plants and store decor. And don't miss 75% off all annuals. Thursday through Saturday only. Nature's Garden World. Highway 210 East, Fergus Falls.
Community is important, and you'll find it at Pioneer Point. Spacious apartments, thoughtfully designed for older adults, provide the best in senior living. Heated parking and elevator access makes life easy. Your neighbors at Pioneer Point hold a welcoming, family-like approach to living. Choosing from an array of special features and options, you'll find many ways to define your lifestyle at Pioneer Point. Call or schedule your tour online today at pioneercare.org.
Newstalk 1250 KBRF. Listen anytime, any place with the Fergus Now app. We're going to head out to the Big Wood Event Center. Joining me, I've got Miles Riker as it is Celebrate Aging presented by Pioneer Care. And Miles, what's happening?
Dave, how many years have I worked with you and you called me Mike? Broadcasting live from the Big Wood Event Center. It's Miles Riker, and stop on out because we're going to be here until noon. It's a $1 donation at the door. Celebrate Aging. There's all different things that you can find out on how to set up your life for moving forward when we get to be, a certain age. And coming up at 10:30, it's 9:37 right now, so in less than an hour, we're going to have the breakout session. It's being presented by Thrivent with Thomas Larson. That's happening at 10:30 this morning, the breakout session. So we have water, we have coffee, and lots of cookies and special things. So come on out to the Big Wood Event Center. We're going to be here until noon today. It's the Celebrate Aging Expo with KBRF.
Thank you, Miles. Miles Riker down at the Big Wood Event Center. Again, that's going on until noon. It is Celebrate Aging. And Mary, I know we got a lot of things to cover today, but obviously Celebrate Aging going on today until noon. It is going to be an absolute blast. It sounds like there's a lot of people there, so head on over.
That's great. I just like, I was kind of a caregiver for both my parents in their later years, and it's so nice to identify the resources that are available to you in Fergus Falls and the surrounding area. And, everybody finds themselves in a different situation, but at the same time, if you're a caregiver, your situation can be very similar to someone else's. And so they can tell you, this might work for you, or this might work for you. And it's a great, you mentioned networking, and it's a great opportunity to visit with other people that are there that are probably in your shoes. Or maybe you're just looking forward for yourself, and maybe you're looking forward for, how can I stay as healthy as possible? How can I keep fit? What kind of exercise is appropriate for me and my age? That sort of thing.
And it's good to know that you're not alone.
Right.
That's
absolutely.
A lot of people think, well, I'm the only one dealing with this. I'm the only one who's got, that's taking care of family members.
Right.
I'm the only one that needs to be taken care of.
And you're not.
You're not. There's a whole bunch.
Just about, and so many people my age have aging parents, and they're dealing with those kinds of things. And it's just nice to know that there are so many different resources for you at so many different levels. And, it's just like everything else, you share good ideas.
Yeah.
So the networking part is important as well. So till noon today, just cost you $1 to get in there. Sounds like fun.
It is going to be a blast. I know those the little breakout sessions, they're really, really popular.
Okay.
So head on over, Big Wood Event Center, till noon today. Bring a buck.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, told you that living in a healthy state could add 8 years to your life. So would you be willing to move someplace to add 8 years?
I think Minnesota's a healthier state. I think it's probably up there on the list.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Okay, Vermont leads the rankings.
Because their love of maple syrup.
Maybe. Boasting high concentrations of healthy food stores, clean air, and parks. New Hampshire, Washington, Maine, and Utah follow closely behind with strong access to gyms and outdoor recreation. In contrast, Louisiana ranks lowest. Those high ones were almost 9 points, and Louisiana is 4.97 points, so kind of almost cut that in half. Facing challenges such as limited wellness facilities, high smoking rates, Tennessee, West Virginia, Alabama, and Nevada also make up the bottom of the list. The study emphasizes the link between infrastructure and health outcomes, highlighting the importance of investing in parks, clean air policies, and healthy food access for promoting longer, healthier lives. So Minnesota not mentioned in there, but if we could see the ranking, I would guess that we were nearer the top than the bottom for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we used to be near the top, so I kind of wonder what happened over the last couple of years.
Well, I can surmise. People look at us and think, ugh, Minnesota, what happened to Minnesota? Anyway, all right, and while we're talking about health, being healthy, or looking good, if you had to pick, would you rather look good or feel good?
I'd rather feel good because I never look good.
I would rather feel good too. 3 out of 4 people are now prioritizing feeling good on the inside, according to a survey. And so how you feel inside and how you feel generally is much more important, 3 out of 4 say, than how you look. They had adopted a more mindful health approach, focusing on mental process, emotional responses, and the research conducted by Talker Research for Metagenics also found that over a quarter of those that were polled have started taking their inner health seriously in the past year. Popular daily wellness acts include prioritizing sleep, eating nourishing meals, and engaging in activities that feel good. Those are 3 things that are super important, and I hear more and more about how important sleep is.
You don't know how important sleep is until your routine changes and you have to get up 3 hours earlier than you normally do. So
Exactly. So anyway, healthy food, a lot of water, and just get out and do some exercise. And I think we're not talking about 45 minutes of high intensity workout. We're talking about getting out,
walk around the block.
Walk around the block. Yeah, start small. And anyway, they say that could add years to your life. So why not? Plus, you just feel better, right? Let's see. There is a complex relationship between exercise and mental health. So while we're on this health kick, we'll keep going. New research challenges the long-held belief that exercise is a simple solution for improving mental health. Now, a study just published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise suggests that while exercise does offer mental health benefits, these effects may be smaller than expected. And surprisingly, certain types of physical activity, such as household chores or work-related movement, may not provide the same mental health benefits. I can see that.
Yeah.
So doing chores, vacuuming versus going outside for a walk, I think the going outside for a walk is way better for your mental health.
I think it's way better, but I know people, or especially one person in particular, that to recharge, revamp, she cleans. And she loves to clean.
I'm one of those people. So I can pick up what Jen's putting down because for me there is a lot of reward in cleaning.
Yeah.
Because when you're done, it's so nice, and then you Then I make a cup of coffee and I sit down and kind of enjoy.
I
you know?
stress when I clean. I
Don't-
hate
oh.
cleaning.
Oh, I love to.
That's why Jen and I are such a good
I
pair.
shouldn't
She
say
loves
I
it.
love to, but I sure like my house to be in order. I'm pretty fussy.
I'll walk in the house and she'll be on the floor scrubbing the hardwood. I'm like, we got a Roomba. It'll take care of this. You just hit the button.
No, you won't. You probably
takes care of
won't.
all
You
that.
won't see me on my hands and knees. Not very often, anyway, unless something major has spilled. I'm not going to get. It's so hard to get back up if I get down on my hands and knees. So I choose not to do that. But anyway, yeah, I think there is absolutely a relationship between exercise, feeling good, and your mental health.
Yeah.
And I feel like we hear so much about mental health these days, too. And so many people struggling with it for whatever reason.
Which is good that it's in the news because, as you've mentioned, people do struggle with mental health. And we were kind of talking about, caregivers and people think they're alone. If you're struggling with mental health, a lot of people think that they're alone and nobody can understand them. There are people that that understand it. So seek help, get into a group, be with people that are like you, and kind of share your struggle.
Someone,
Yeah.
if you're struggling like that, and it is in a caregiving position, and I know that this is something they'll tell you over at Celebrate Aging if you ask the question, that it can be really, really hard on caregivers.
Yeah.
And they can suffer both mentally and physically. You can get a little bit isolated when you're just caregiving because you put everything else on hold, and often you have to run away from what you're doing multiple times every day to go save the day for that person that you're caregiving for. So it's hard.
It is.
So anyway, again, another reason to go over there and find out what your resource options are. Okay, here is a teacher. This happened in the UK, but not a great teacher. Her name is Alice Ashton, and she has been banned from teaching in Wales after a hearing found her guilty of unacceptable professional conduct. Now, what you say did she do? Well, here it is. Ashton was accused of swearing at the students, dancing the Macarena under the influence of alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of bad at school.
That's a bad thing.
And she also had a 2023 drunk driving conviction, so that did not help.
No.
The Education Workforce Council panel heard testimonies from pupils and school staff, leading to her removal from the school system indefinitely. Ashton, who did not attend the hearing, may reapply after 2 years. I would say she's done teaching.
I at least in that school district. She can
Maybe
try
anywhere.
to say, hey, I made some mistakes. I've changed.
Maybe.
I've been reformed. But obviously that school district's going to be like, good luck with that.
Yeah, drunk dancing the Macarena on the table at your student's classroom. The investigation was prompted by parents' concerns with students reporting her alcohol smell, inappropriate language, and erratic behavior during a lesson. You come home, how was your day at school, Johnny? And you get that. Well, our teacher was drunk, dancing on the table, doing the Macarena. Well, then you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So clearly she doesn't have
Well, that and swearing at the students.
Yeah, that's not good either. She's just bad all around. I think she is all done teaching. Do you ever watch the series on Netflix, Monster? Have you ever seen it? It's already coming up for season number 4, and its focus is going to be on the infamous Lizzie Borden case.
Oh.
So they're talking about people who have done monstrous things. And while season 3's premiere date is still pending, sources reveal that season 4 is already set for a fall shoot. And Lizzie Borden, you probably know the little Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her father 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, gave her mother 41. Anyway, I think everyone can say that along with me. But anyway, she was accused of murdering her father and stepmother with an axe in 1982. She was later acquitted, but the case's notoriety persists in pop culture. Monster Season 3, which is expected to debut sometime this year, stars Charlie Hunnam as serial killer Ed Gein. Remember Ed Gein?
I don't know.
Yeah. He was a prolific serial murderer. Ed Gein. If you look him up, there's some terrible stories about Ed Gein. So anyway, that's this year's, but next year, Lizzie Borden. I don't know. I don't love to watch that.
Yeah,
kind of
that's
stuff, I don't
kind of
think.
not my cup of tea. That's why I hadn't watched any of it. I like to be entertained. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be thrilled. I just give me comedy or action.
And it's all true stuff. Pretty dark stories for sure. Let's see what I have. How about some trivia for you? These are hard, I think. Well, one is for me anyway. What was the original name for jeans?
The original name for jeans. I'm going to say denim legs.
Waist overalls.
Oh, that wasn't
Okay,
that bad.
yeah, no, that was a great guess. What country is directly west of Spain?
Directly west of Spain? That'd
Yeah.
be Portugal.
Yes, you're right. See, I would be going. I'd have to look. I had to,
Well, the two countries on the Iberian Peninsula is Spain and Portugal.
Okay, well, there you go. I guess.
I can't tell you what's further west than that.
Geography doesn't stick here, so I knew you'd know that one.
I remember years ago we were giving out some prizes and I was having some fun with it. And the answer was one of the states. And I kept giving everybody hints. I'd have people call in and it'd be like, okay, it was like Oklahoma was the answer, or Texas was the answer, something like that. They'd be like, Minnesota. Okay, you got to go south of that. Next caller. South of Minnesota, Washington. No, that's west. And the people just couldn't figure out east, west, north, south. And
Do you know that
the last time I ever did that.
But you know what, though? There are a lot of people who are not able to, if you say, oh, on the east side of the driveway, they go, So as I'm looking at the house, is that the left or right? You know, I mean,
yeah.
They don't know north, south, east, west.
Well, I mean, I might not know north, south, east, west if you spin me around and put me in front of a house. I mean, unless you're familiar with the grid of the city.
So if you're in a different city, does it not make sense to you where north, south, east, and west are?
Well, I'd have to look at a compass, but I mean, I'd say if I went up to Fargo and you just put me in front of a random house, I'm not going to know right off the bat if I'm facing north.
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I always say I've got my dad's sense of direction.
I mean, I've got usually a pretty good sense of direction, but it's just I don't know randomly off the top of my head if I'm north, south, east, or west. You put me in Fergus and I'll figure it out instantly because I know the grid. But
right, exactly. But I think it's important to know, like, if you're traveling and maybe you're not on the main drag, but you know that, for example, Highway 52 sort of parallel follows I-94, but you know that you're going to be west of 94. Then you think, well, where is this going to bring me? It's going to bring me to Barnesville, going to bring me to Rothsay, it's going to,
That's what Google Maps on your phone is for.
Yeah, no, but I think it's important to know north, south, east, west. And even so that in relation to where you are, even if you don't know where you are, if you could say, well, Highway 59 is west of me, so that means I have to go, that kind of thing. And I think I'm kind of good at that. Now, I'm
good at reading Google Maps.
Yeah, well, we can do that too. And you've read a lot more Google Maps than I have. I came from an era where we actually looked at a map.
I remember that when I was a kid.
Yeah. But I just remember my dad always knew, and it didn't matter where we were. He had a feel for where north was. And I use it a lot, just like I explained. Well, I think if I get off here, I know that this road follows 94 pretty closely parallel, so I know I'm going to get where I'm going, even if I don't get on 94.
I like Google Maps, and it'll take me right there as fast as I can.
It saves me sometimes. For example, there's some terrible construction on 94 eastbound going through Fargo. And I was coming from West Fargo, And this has happened to me twice, and all of a sudden I see this line of stopped cars as far as the eye can see. And just ahead of me is the exit for University. And I'm like, I know if I get off on University and I go down to 52nd, I can take a left, and that will take me out to 52, and I can get on 52 and go to Barnesville and skip all of that traffic. That's when having a sense of north, south, east, west.
But you have to know
helpful.
that 52 is there.
Yeah, well, sure, of course.
And you know how you know 52 is there? Google Maps.
Okay, Google Maps wins. But John and I always fight about that too, because I always talk about, I think I have a pretty good sense of direction unless I get into the woods. And if you're in the middle of the woods, John can find he knows exactly where he is.
Look at your watch, look at the sun.
And I'm like, woo, I'm totally off balance if I'm in the middle of the woods. I would walk round and round till forever.
Look at your watch, look at the sun.
Yeah.
Sun's on your left?
Yeah, I guess. Well, it depends on what time of day is it.
That's where you need to have your look at your watch.
Did you hear that?
What?
My phone just said your internal compass works well in certain settings.
You know who probably told you that on your phone?
Google Maps. Oh boy. Okay, well there's your feel good. Just do Google Maps. It's easier. I don't know. I like to challenge myself once in a while. Say, well, I think if we take this road,
you could do that.
It should hook up.
My wife.
Yeah, she did that to you once. I remember.
She enjoys just her sense of not sense of directions. Her sense of driving is frustrating at times. She will take the longest route possible, and I will just look at her and just go.
Yeah. Sometimes I take the longer route just because I know where I'm going, and even if it's a few miles longer, I know I'll get there. I don't know. Google Maps, okay, you win.
Google Maps.
All right, that's going to wrap up a Wednesday. Thanks for joining us, and our show today brought to us by Pioneer Care and by Fergus Falls Monument Company. Have a great Wednesday.
And on News Talk 1250 KBRF, we're going to check back in with everybody over at the Bigwood Event Center at Celebrate Aging.
Hey, it's Zach Daniels, and I'm at the Bigwood Event Center in Fergus Falls, and it is the Celebrate Aging Expo going on until noon today. So stop on in. There's lots going on. We've got Eye to Eye is giving away some reading glasses, as well as big thanks to Annabelle Lee and Associates for the Fountain of Youth photo booth, so you can take a fun picture. Lots of great snacks. We got scones, chocolate chip cookies.